Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're sewing up the Michelle must-have bucket bag. This is the cutest purse bag ever, and I'm so excited to sew it up. It is so simple, but it is adorable. I can't wait to show you all this stuff on the inside. You're gonna have to watch the video to see. And we're gonna sew it up together. I am sewing up the mini version today right here, but there's also a bigger version that I'm sewing up next because it's adorable. Let's get started. All right, friends, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna show you the pieces. I've got a lining, well, two linings, front and back. I've got my two pieces, my front and back outers. I'm using this fabric. This is the fabric I was talking about. It's like a faux leather. It looks like a distressed leather. I'm super excited about it because I want it to be like a slouchy look. I'm doing the same fabric for my straps and for my facing for the top. And I'm using this. This is the first time I'm gonna be using zipper, like, tape instead of just buying a zipper. This is a number 5. It's gonna look, I think, really cute with it. It's kind of in between the two colors. And then I've got like this brass handle. I'm excited about it. I've got my slipped pocket and my zipper pocket. Now, if you're using a fabric that's not super thick, you want to go ahead and line everything. Since I'm using a thicker fabric, I'm not going to line it. And then for the inside, for the bag, the lining, you can line it if you want a stiffer result, but I like the slouchiness, so I'm gonna go without lining that and see how it turns out. I did line where the zipper is going to go because I want to have some reinforcement there so that the zipper sits nice and comfy in there. And then the slot pocket, I mean, it's up to you. It just kind of hangs there. So if you think it's gonna crumple up and look a little flimsy, you may wanna add some structure to that. I'm not really sure. I'm still thinking about it. You all know how much I dislike interfacing, but you probably should do interfacing. So add interfacing to all your pieces. You're just gonna add it as manufacturer intended. Remember, when you cut out your interfacing, you're cutting out on the inside dotted line. So you're gonna have some spaces around the interfacing for easier sew, because if you have thicker fabrics and you're bunching them up together, you put an interfacing, it's gonna get kind of thick. So this kind of helps you with that. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna start by working on our zipper pockets. We're gonna put all the other stuff aside. I have my lining piece here and I've got my zipper pocket piece here. And I went ahead, since I used a projector, I cut out a little template of my zipper pocket area for my placket. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mark that. I'm just kind of finding the center here. The center of my, the top of my lining piece here. And I'm actually going to find the center of this little paper I cut out. This is my template. And mark that there. And then you can go ahead and trace this piece out with a water-soluble marker. If you have a pattern piece and you don't want to cut it out, what they suggest you do is you can kind of trim the two edges of the pattern piece and then fold the piece down. So you can still have the pattern piece and still be able to mark. So I marked it there, and I'm also going to mark it here on my pocket piece. So I'm gonna fold that in half, find that center here, and match that up with my center here. So that way my zipper will be centered. All right, there it is. Now that it's marked, we're gonna grab the interior zipper pocket and we're gonna line it up with the with our interior bag lining. Sorry, I'm like lining bag. That's not what it is. Okay, and so we're gonna mark it. And now that it's marked right here, we're gonna line up We're gonna line up the markings, and pin them in place. My goodness, I can't speak today. Oh goodness. Okay, now that we've pinned them, we're gonna go over to our sewing machine and sew down and over and up. so that we're gonna sew around that whole rectangle. So I am using my sewing machine and I'm just using a straight stitch here. For this part, it doesn't really matter because this is a thin fabric, but for my bag itself, I'm going to be using a thick needle, more of a heavy duty needle. I'm actually using a jean needle because I don't have a heavy duty needle right now, and I think I did test it out first and I went through like 3 layers of my fabric and it worked well. So that's what I'm doing. All right, now that my pocket has been cut, I'm going to grab my seam gauge and gauge a 1/2 inch from the outer edge and mark it, and then on the other side as well. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line from that mark to the corner. All right, so now that I have those marks, I'm going to go ahead and cut up to the thread. You don't want to cut the thread, you just want to go right up to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim that the top half of my pocket. So I'll kind of pull it up and then just trim. All right, so this is where we are now. All right, now we're going to give this little pocket a little steam. So we're going to kind of open it up and steam all the sides. So like fold it over and steam that one side. Then we're going to turn it around to the other side and steam again. Now, if you find that you have a little bit of puckering here, it might mean that you have to go back and cut a little closer to the thread. Sometimes that can happen. But this looks really nice and sharp here on mine. See how good that looks? All right, friends, before I move on to the next step, which is attaching the zipper to my zipper pocket, I made a mistake. And I wanted to tell you all because, you know, I am honest. When I was attaching the pocket, I attached it horizontally instead of vertical, what it was supposed to be like. So this is supposed to be here, and this is supposed to be here. So it's supposed to flip over. So what that means for me is, yes, I can shorten the sides, but that means that when I fold it over, my pocket is not gonna be as long as it's meant to be. So I kind of fit my, my phone in here, and my phone still fits. So I'm gonna continue because I don't have enough of my lining fabric to redo this. So we're just gonna continue, and then now on my next one, I'll have to keep that in mind. So if you're watching this video, keep in mind that it's supposed to go this way, the long ways, short at the top, long sides. I don't know why I didn't pay attention. And then later I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? Okay, so the steps are still the same. It's just gonna look a little bit different. So that's why I wanted to tell you all, so you don't come back and look at the video and say, well, her pocket looks real short. Is that how it's gonna be? No, it's deeper than that. It's just me. I made the mistake. So we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving forward. My phone fits in there. It's gonna be fine. We will roll with it. But I just wanted to mention that in case you're looking at this video and wondering why my pocket's so small, I made a little mistake or a happy accident. However you want to say it, it's fine with me. Let's keep moving. Time to attach our zipper. If you're using zipper by the pool, you're gonna measure 8 inches, and then you're gonna kind of tack it together so it's not gonna come open on you, so it's easier to sew it up. So what I'm going to do is, so this is the facing of my pocket, of my bag, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna place my zipper flushed here at the top, and I wanna make sure that my zipper is opening the right way. So this is not the right way to open, so we're gonna make sure that I put it correctly. We wanna make sure that it's opening from left to right. So left to right. So I wanna make sure I place it there correctly, and kind of just place it flushed here at the top with your pocket lining. And then I can go ahead, and once I clip it here, I can turn it around and make sure it's on there. So now that it looks good, and obviously depending on what size zipper you use, you'll have more opening here at the bottom, more or less. You want it to be flush here at the top, but you want the opening to be there. So then I'm going to put some more pins on this side actually. I don't know why I put them on that side. Put them on this side so it's nice and even. And we're gonna go ahead and go sew around it. So we're gonna sew at the edge, sew down and over and up. And make sure if you have like metal zipper teeth or whatever, you're very careful with your sewing machine, or you remove the zipper teeth or whatever so it's not gonna snap, crackle, and pop on you, break your needle, break your machine. So we're gonna go ahead and sew down, over, and up, or down, over, and up, whichever way. Don't forget to put your zipper foot in, just like I forgot. So we're doing a zipper foot, so we can come close here to the zipper. When you get to the zipper pull, you want to get it out of the way and keep going. All right, our zipper is in. It looks so good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trim whatever you have right up to that stitch line, the extra zipper. All right, then once we've trimmed that down, we can fold our pocket up. And here you can see that my pocket is not as long as it's supposed to be, but that's okay. And we're going to clip the sides and the top. And the top we're gonna baste together. And the sides we're just gonna sew. So we're gonna do a straight stitch sew here on the sides, and then the top we're gonna baste the zipper and the pocket together. So make sure that it's all nice and even, unlike mine. That is not nice and even to the zipper. There we go. All right, I'm gonna sew these sides and baste the top to the zipper pull here at the top. Now remember, when you're sewing the sides, you're only sewing the pocket sides. Oop, now we gotta change back to a regular foot. You're not sewing it to the lining, the front lining, you're just sewing the pocket bag. So the two layers. This one gotta move out of the way. All right, and here at the top part where the zipper pull is, we're just basting. So I'm gonna make a really long straight stitch just to hold it together when we sew it. I didn't change back to a zipper foot because I'm far away enough here that I can do it without the zipper foot, but if you're closer, you may want to do a zipper foot there so it's easier to work with. All right, our zipper is basically done. Now we're gonna grab our facing. We're gonna face it right sides together with at the top of the zipper. We're gonna align it here at the top, and we're gonna go ahead and sew that together. For this part, you may want to use a zipper foot just to make sure that you're not gonna get caught, you're not gonna catch the zipper. It just gives you a little bit more wiggle room here when you're sewing that together. All right, now we're gonna grab that facing and flip it up, and then we're gonna go over to our sewing machine and top stitch it. If you have a fabric that you can steam, you can go ahead and give it a little steam to help you top stitch it better, but I mean, I don't wanna steam this fabric down, so I'm just gonna hold it and pull it and hope for the best. All right, before we move on, let's stop for 1 second and admire our beautiful pocket. That looks so good. It is so cute. I love this zipper. I got my zipper pull and zipper from Wawak, in case you were wondering. Ah, so good. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and put that aside, and we're gonna work on our slip pocket. So here's my slip pocket, and we're going to fold it right sides together here along the one edge, and we're gonna sew up the top and bottom. And this is, I think I already said it, it's right sides together. Once those corners are sewn, we're gonna clip those edges. Don't clip the thread, just the edges, so it's nice and it gives you a nice crisp turnaround. We're gonna go ahead and turn it, flip it over. Make sure to poke out those corners really well. You can use like a whatever kind of tool you have to poke out the corners. And then give it a good steam. All right, now we grab a ruler and we're gonna fold from the folded side. This is the folded side, this is the opening here. We're gonna measure 8 inches. So here's the 8 inches. and we're going to mark that. Well, for me it's 8 inches because I'm making the small bag, but for the bigger bag is 16 inches. Now we're going to grab this folded side and we're going to match it up to where we mark that line. Then we're going to flip it and we're going to go ahead and top stitch on these sides, these two sides. Go ahead and top stitch here on the two sides. When I get here at where I'm sewing over that folded edge, I'm going to back stitch here a couple times so that it's nice and stitched on. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and grab that other lining piece, not the one with the zipper, but the other one. And we're gonna grab our pocket and we're gonna place it right at the center. So we wanna find the center of the pocket and find the center of the lining so we can get it rightly centered. Unless you want it off center, and that is up to you. It's your purse. And so then we're gonna match those up, right sides up. So like the right side of the lining is up and then the right side of the pocket is up. Match that raw edge here, and then we're gonna go and baste it together. So we're gonna baste that on, and then we're gonna grab another facing here and place it right on top. And you say, well, you said baste that first. I know I did say that. Your face, you wanna baste it first because you don't want it to move down. I'm just a rebel, so that's why I'm doing it this way. But yes, you wanna baste it first. Because then if I make a mistake, then I made a mistake. I don't want you to make a mistake. And then what we're going to do after we do that, we're going to flip this up just like we did here and top stitch. So I'm going to do all that. Sew it together, flip it up, and top stitch. Oh gosh, this is going to be so cute. All right, this is looking so good. Now, I love how this looks, but if you wanted it not to move around on you, you can certainly top stitch it down to your lining to make it a fixed pocket so it doesn't move. But this is just a little extra option for your pattern. All right, so I'm gonna grab the linings and I'm gonna place them right sides together. Make sure before you sew this up and finish it up, you have your markings for where you're going to place your little magnetic closure here. And if you need interfacing or whatever you need to, if you're using the lighter fabrics. Since I'm using this thicker fabrics, I'm not going to be using interfacing for that. We're gonna match here our sides and the bottom. And we're gonna sew it right sides together. The sides and the bottom. And as you're sewing, you make sure you do a good job back stitching at the beginning and end of everything so it's all nice and pieced together. All right, so I like to do all the steps at once, and I'm kind of like a little bit, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but we could be doing the same exact thing that we just did for our lining pieces to our outer. So I'm just gonna show you that and kind of place it together. Oh, okay, this is really slippery. So make sure you use like either a walking foot or anything like that if you have it. If you're like me and you don't, then you're gonna wanna pin a lot on the inside, and my fabric doesn't really show the pins very much, but if your fabric shows pins, you're going to want to clip, because we're going to sew the same thing we just did here. We're going to do our sides and our bottom, and you can obviously do one at a time, but I like to do everything at a time. So I'm like, I should have already done this. I don't know why it feels so weird when I'm like, I didn't do it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So then after I'm done sewing that up, I'm going to do the same thing as I'm doing here to the corners, which is to grab here where the box corners are, and we're going to open them. Come on, open. Oop. And then we're going to face them together. Right sides together, face that seam here. And we're going to sew them. Show the corners, box those corners. Oh my goodness. What in the world? We're supposed to leave a gap here. I just thought about that, and I'm supposed to leave a gap and backstitch at the gap, and I didn't. So when I go to sew it up, I need to make sure that I go over it really well so it doesn't open on me. I am just all over the place today. What is going on? And you're like, stop in the name of love. You're probably like, don't go any further. You gotta leave your gap. Were you telling me to leave my gap and I wasn't listening? Okay, I'm leaving a gap here for turning later. Oh my goodness. Thank you for letting me know. Somehow I heard it across the interwebs. Okay, now I've got my little gap here. Sorry. Yes, you have to leave a gap here. Oh, goodness. When you're sewing that bottom area, you want to leave a gap here because we're going to have to eventually turn our purse around. And if we don't have a gap, we can't turn our purse around. So here's my gap. Okay, now that we've got that taken care of, let's go box the other side. Shoo. And we're going to do the same thing to this. Now we don't have to leave a gap on the outer part, on the outer one. So that closes all the way. And I am going to put some pins here too. But here on the lining is where you got to leave that gap. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to put that aside and I'm also going to grab my straps. Now I am doing the faux leather thing. So what we do is we top stitch them together. So we're going to place them wrong sides together and we're top stitching at 1/8 of an inch all the way around. For if you're doing fabric, like a thin fabric, you can go ahead and fold and create kind of like a binding, how you would do a binding. Well, you fold down the middle and then you meet the two ends in, the two edges in, and then you fold those two edges back in to create that. But with this one, I am just sewing them together. It would be too bulky to do all that. So I'm going to top stitch them on the outer edge. Lots of clips because it moves around. All right, so we've got this liner ready. It looks so good. We've got this guy getting ready here. All we gotta do is box those corners, which I'll do next. All right, so that'll be that. With my strap, okay, so it's kind of hard. They kind of are slippery sometimes. So what I'm doing now is trimming any extra. It's supposed to be 1/8 inch, but with mine, some places went a little bit farther in because I wanted to make sure that it cut on both sides. So I just want to make sure that it's all nice and even. So I'm doing that now. So don't cut the thread, just make sure that it's all even. Now, not everybody needs to do this because yours might be really nice and perfect. And if you don't want these raw edges, you can always sew them right sides together and then flip them over and top stitch. And that's fine. But this one has got those kind of the raw edges on the sides. All right, so another thing we're gonna do here, because I like to do everything at the same time, you can do it later if you want, is we're gonna open this seam allowance here and right sides together, we're going to baste this strap on here on each side. Make sure it's not crooked or anything. I'm gonna baste it on both sides. Ooh, that's gonna be so cute. Ah, I forgot to do the bottoms. Okay, I gotta go do that. All right, that's done. Now here on the side, you can kind of trim a little bit of this seam allowance before the next step. So that way it's not in the way, so it's not as bulky here when we're sewing them together. So I'm just kind of trimming a little bit of the seam allowance. And now we're gonna go ahead and grab our bag. And this is gonna be right sides together. So we're gonna insert our bag into our bag outer into our liner, insert that strap there too. And we're gonna match up those sides. So you're kind of sandwiching that strap in there. You're gonna have a lot of layers here. So hopefully my machine doesn't throw a fit. I did use a test scrap and I scrap sewed it earlier. So I'm like, it in all pretense of purposes, whatever the word is, the saying is right there, it should go smoothly, but you know how that is. I may end up hand stitching that area there if it doesn't work. I don't have an industrial machine, which is something that I might end up investing on. I mean, if I'm going to be making bags, maybe I should be investing on an industrial. But just so you know, I'm using my regular Brother machine to sew through all these layers. This is like a thicker faux leather. It's not super thick, but it's working fine. It's doing its job. I'm going to go back to, I did backstitch over that one edge. I didn't on this one. I want to backstitch over that strap a couple times just because I want it to be reinforced. If you're like me, I love to put a ton of stuff in my purses and they're gonna be kind of heavy and I don't want my strap coming undone, so I just went over it a few times. Eek! I'm so excited. I'm almost done. Here it is. All right. For the moment of truth, we're going to turn it all around. Flip it over. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. This was so just straightforward, simple sew. And oh my goodness, it is adorable. This looks so good. Oh my gosh. I am so impressed. So impressed with this little baby. Look how cute it is. Look how cute it is. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, from here, obviously it's pretty poofy here. Oh my gosh. Look at how good. Like the colors. Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch the top here. Now, if you're using a fabric that can be steamed, you want to give it a good press, but I'm not, so I'm just going to have to hold it tight and like, I'm going to show you a tool. I have this little pressing tool here, and so you can go ahead and press it down so that it stays nicely, and then we're going to go top stitch all the way around the top of the bag. Again, a walking foot might be really helpful around right about now. If you're like me, you're stubborn. You still can do it without the walking foot. I'm sorry, pressing foot. Yeah, so I'm going to do all that, top stitch that, and then we're going to work on our clasp. And we're going to go through like this little hole area here to attach our clasp to the top of the bag where you marked it. So let's first top stitch it, and then I'll come back and show you how to add the clasp, and we'll be done. How cute is this? That gum is adorable. Remember to pull your strap up as you're going through here. All right, friends, we're basically done with the cutest. Look at how cute that looks on the inside with this zipper pocket. Oh my gosh, I'm just obsessed with this section right here. It's so good. It is super, super cute. Now, I just realized something. So my fabric does have a little crease there, so that's why it looks, I actually kind of like the look of that, but that's why it looks like it's top stitched there. It's not. It's just my fabric is creasing there and here as well. Anyway, that will probably fall out. But I just realized that the clasps enclosures I have are this silver color, which does not go with my zipper, and I love this so much. I don't want to make it ugly. So anyway, to attach your clasp, now there's different kind of clasp and they have different magnetic abilities. So you want to find one that actually, this one is not very magnetic-y. I mean, it's okay, but you may want to find one with, you know, like maybe a bigger magnet, whatever, depending on, you know, the size of your bag. This one is really, I'm just hand stitched on. Like this version, you just hand stitch it. So I would just hand stitch it to the inside layer. If you have the kind that has the prongs that you have to put on the inside, you want to go through that bottom gap that you have here to be able to go through the back of the pocket and be able to put those prongs in there. I'm going to wait on that because I could go ahead and hand stitch this one on, but it won't match. So I'm going to order some brass version of it so that way it will really match and make my bag really cute. What do you think? Comment below and let me know if I'm making the right call on that. And tell me what you think about my bag. It is so cute. This is the mini version. I am definitely making a larger tote, well, slouchier version. It is so cute. I love it. It turned out adorable. Let me show you inside one more time because I'm just obsessed with it. It is so cute. Oh my goodness. I love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Let us know below if you have any questions or comments. I hope you go grab this pattern, come back and sew it up with me. I'll see you all next time.